Welcome. Today we're going to explore a pretty provocative idea about health and our relationship with modern medicine. We're diving into a source that really challenges some of our deepest, most basic assumptions.
So let's just jump right in with a question that, seems to have a super obvious answer. When you're sick, you go to the hospital, right? I mean, of course. Well, for the next few minutes, we're going to pull on that thread and just see where it leads. The source we're looking at frames the problem with this really powerful image, a cascade of prescriptions. It just paints this picture of an overwhelming waterfall of treatments, one where we're just passive, standing at the bottom getting drenched. So how did we even get to this point? To figure that out, we first have to understand how modern medicine built its authority, how it became such a massive, unquestionable part of all of our lives.
The source uses this really striking metaphor of a coiled snake. And it makes sense, right? It's this entity with so many different faces. Sometimes it's the gentle healer. Other times it's a fierce warrior battling disease. And because it's seen as this symbol of success, it's become this almost untouchable authority, a system that we've all been taught to trust without a single question.
But what if there's an older, much more fundamental principle that we've kind of forgotten? To get into that, let's break down two really important concepts from the source material.
First, we have this idea called Japyeongjachi. It roughly translates to the self-governance of illness. And the core idea is simple. Our bodies have their own innate natural wisdom. They know how to regulate and heal themselves. It's all about having a fundamental trust in your own biology.
And then you have the complete opposite, Japyeongtachi, or illness governed by others. This is the state most of us know today, where we basically hand over all the responsibility for our health to an outside authority. A doctor, a hospital, the whole system.
And here you can really see the two philosophies side by side. It's a huge choice, isn't it? Trusting the power that's already inside you versus relying completely on an external authority. It's the difference between being an active agent in your own health and just being a passive patient. Okay, so how did we make this huge shift? How did we go from self-governance to being governed by others? Well, history actually shows a pretty clear path. If you look back, healing has almost always been tied to some kind of external authority, from shamans to organized religion. But the really big split happened when Western medicine went all in on a material, dissection-based approach. It made these massive leaps, especially during wartime. Think about it. An endless supply of casualties allowed it to map the human body with incredible precision, all the way down to the cells. And that knowledge is what really solidified its position as the ultimate authority on health worldwide. And this total dominance had a massive consequence. The whole idea of the body's own healing power, Jaebyongjachi, it just got shoved aside. A new mindset took over. The source even calls it a persistent brainwashing, the idea that only qualified experts, only doctors can treat us. So now the moment we feel sick, our automatic reaction is to look for outside help. We just jump right into the world of Jaebyongjachi without a second thought. But the source material is urging us to just pause, to look inward for a second, and remember the incredible power we already have. Just try to wrap your mind around this number, 40 trillion. That's how many cells are in your body, all working together in perfect harmony. The source calls it a micro-universe that exists inside every single one of us. And don't forget this absolutely crucial point. From just a single cell, we built this whole complex system. You are the architect of your own micro-universe. So this leads to a really powerful question, doesn't it? If our bodies could perform the absolute miracle of creating themselves from scratch, doesn't it make sense that they'd have the wisdom to manage a few repairs? I mean, nature itself thrives on diversity, not on blind agreement. In 3.8 billion years of evolution, survival has so often depended on the one outlier, the one little change that challenges what everyone else is doing. A single, absolute path is almost never the answer in nature. So if the system is this big and powerful, how do we even begin to get back to that inner wisdom? Well, the author suggests it's not about fighting some huge, complex battle. It's about making a single, decisive mental shift. We're faced with what feels like an impossibly tangled problem, right? It's this knot of beliefs, fixed ideas, and everything society has taught us. It looks so complicated you'd think it would be impossible to ever unravel. And the proposed solution comes straight from the legend of the Gordian knot. The stories that Alexander the Great came across this knot that nobody could untie. So what did he do? He didn't sit there and try to untangle it. He just drew his sword and cut it right in half. The answer wasn't getting lost in the complexity. It was bold, decisive action.
And this is really the key takeaway here. The solution to that cascade of prescriptions isn't another cascade of fixes. It's about seeing the knot for what it is and then making a single powerful shift in your own perspective. It's about cutting through all that noise to reclaim your belief in your body's wisdom in Jabyong Jachi.
And that brings us to the final and most important point. This whole explanation isn't just about some abstract problem. It's asking you to look at your own beliefs, to really think about your own relationship with your health. So the real question is, what is the knot that you must cut to reclaim a sense of agency over your own well-being?